Today I am going to be showing you how to make, use, and create, or whatever the title of this video is, triggers. What a trigger is basically a way to run commands without operator permissions, without having cheats on. But you do need cheats in order to create triggers and make triggers usable. So these three are all for triggers. This one is for one trigger, this one's another trigger, this one's another. I have them on levers because that's just for the purpose of this video, because I have a lot of command blocks in here, but none of these are actually running at all times, except for these two. But those two don't create a lot of lag, so they're okay to be running, along with these. But anyways, basically you can use them as a way to, like, let's say if you don't, like, trust someone completely and just want them to be able to change from creative mode to spectator mode and survival mode. Then you just make 3 triggers, allow them to use those triggers, and then bang, they can do so. Like here, if I do /trigger, I made 3 triggers: creative mode, spectator mode, and survival mode. If I use /trigger survival mode, I change to survival mode. If I use /trigger creative mode, I'm changed to creative mode. If I use /trigger spectator mode, I'm changed into spectator mode. As you can see, I'm a floating ghost head that you can barely see and that I can go through things. Yes, okay. So that's kind of what you can do. Now, if you have operator permissions, you could always just do /game mode creative, /game mode spectator, /game mode survival, or even use this neat little trick called holding down F3 and F4 if you're on computer. And you have those keys, and you get this little menu. If you simply let go of both keys, then you're changed to that game mode. I can change myself to spectator mode, I can change myself to creative mode, and to survival mode whenever I want, simply by doing that. It's like a super easy way to do it. There's also some other keybinds to change game modes, but that's just a way to do it with triggers. Triggers can be used while in survival mode, while not having operator permissions. Pluses are, you can use it, I kind of already covered that. You can use it for, like, pretty much anything. You can use it to teleport to a hub, like to a lobby or something. Start minigames, stop minigames, whatever you want. Minuses is that you have to use the /trigger before you type it in, which is kind of annoying. But either way, that's pretty much the only minus. Anyway, to create them, it's pretty simple. You use scoreboards. Scoreboards are how you create them, because basically what the trigger command does is it's a command that can be used without operator, and you can select a trigger scoreboard and then either add or set the value of that scoreboard. So if I simply set the display, my sidebar display, to creative mode, to that creative mode trigger, you can see it has popped up on the side of my screen. That's what the sidebar is. It basically just means the side of my screen. Now if I use /trigger creative mode, hold on, wait, I should probably turn it off first. /trigger creative mode, set a 5. It will set my creative mode score to 5, and you can use this command however many times you want, if you are allowed to. Now that I've used it, if I do /trigger, it does not pop up there, because I have to use a command to enable it for me to be able to use it again. That's kind of how you can make it so that you can only use the command when in specific areas of a map. Like when you're not in the lobby, you are able to use the trigger command to teleport yourself into the lobby, which is very useful. So basically how you do it is you pretty much just create the scoreboard, set a repeating command block to activate the scoreboard, trigger, I mean, not scoreboard, and then, so that you can do /trigger and then do it. And when you just do survival mode or whatever, it automatically adds 1. It's basically just doing this. But you don't need to type all that, so you can just do /trigger survival mode and it will work. Next thing to do is to test for if the trigger command, if the scoreboard is not 0, because whenever it is enabled, it is automatically set to 0. So if it's not 0, then run a command. For instance, /game mode creative in the case of this. If I change back over to survival mode and enable this, you can see that it automatically reset, kind of blinked in and out of existence quickly, and set it back to 0. And now I can use the slash trigger creative mode. If I do it again, you'll see it very, very quickly changes to 1 and then back to 0. If I use it again, you can see if you look closely, look very closely, 3, 2, 1. Very, very quickly it changes to 1. I'm changed to creative mode, and then it disappears and is then re-enabled. Then this last command resets it so that it doesn't just stay on 1. This is the dangerous part. If I go ahead and copy this and then do slash trigger creative mode, it's staying not at 0 and is not being reset. So if I try to change my game mode to survival now, I'm immediately changed into creative mode. So if you use a command to slash kill yourself whenever you run a trigger, kind of like to put yourself back to the last checkpoint in a parkour map, and you didn't set it up properly, you will just instantly die infinitely. This is why you need to watch for quite a few things while creating them. You have to make sure that you set it up properly. You have to make sure that you have to reset ready. Now if I place this back down, you can see it changes it back to 0. And if you were wondering how I just placed it down, it already had stuff in it. Neat little trick. If you have a chest, hold on, I'm getting severe lag. It just froze on my game. There we go. And you have a bunch of stuff in it. If you hold down the control key and then hit middle click, you will get the item, but it will say plus NBT right below it, unless this, except this one, it doesn't say that. This one it does, which means when I place it down, it has the same stuff inside of it, which is super useful for quite a few things. And you can do the same with command blocks. If I control middle click, plus NBT. If I just middle click, then it doesn't have any NBT inside of it, meaning that it doesn't have any commands, which is very, very useful for quite a few things. Just a neat little trick there. But anyway, now that you know how that works, let me just clear my sidebar real quick. How to create them. To create them, basically, you just need, hold on, I'm just gonna disable those real quick. To create them, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is use 3 command blocks, along with 1 command in your chat. So, first command you have to do is use the command to, a scoreboard command to create the scoreboard objective that is able to be changed using triggers. Basically, just do scoreboard objectives, add, and if you want more info on the scoreboard command, I already have a video on that. You can go check that out after this video. And then type in the name of your trigger, otherwise known as the thing that you are going to type in order, in order to activate it. So if I do scoreboard objectives, add test in all caps or whatever, that will be the name of it. It cannot have spaces, it cannot have symbols, it can have underscores and dashes, but other than that it can't have many other symbols. The $, it will turn red if you use a symbol that you cannot be used, in this case the $sign or %sign. So for the case of the video, for the purposes of this video I should say, I'm just going to use one called, how about, kill. This is probably the most dangerous to mess around with, which is why you probably should have access to files of the world so that you can turn off or on all command blocks, or just have a friend able to join into your world and go ahead and flick a lever to turn it back on or off. You could just double check it multiple times, like triple check it, quadruple check it, quintuple? I don't remember what's wrong after quadruple. But anyway, check it before you do it. But after setting the name, you simply type trigger. Don't do raid trigger, do just trigger. Hit enter, and it will create. If you have send command feedback on the game rule, send command feedback set to true, then it will pop up in your chat that it's successfully created. If not, then it will just create it. But rest assured, it is created if you typed in what I did, how I said to do it. Now, second thing you need to do, if I just go into slash trigger right now, it will not be, it's not there. If I type in kill and hit enter, you cannot trigger this objective yet. So it does know that it's an objective. I just can't trigger it. I wonder why that is. If I do scoreboard objectives, set display, sidebar, the kill scoreboard, you can see that nothing pops up. That's because no one has a score on it. No one has it enabled. So if I use the command scoreboard players enable me, and enable is only useful for if you're working with triggers. If you're not, then it will do absolutely nothing for normal scoreboards. and then the name of the trigger. If I now enable it, you will see it pops up right on the sidebar because I set it there as the value 0. So these repeating command blocks at the bottom simply uses a command enabling everyone to be able to use the trigger named spectator mode. This one, survival mode. This one, the creative mode trigger. And now this one, scoreboard, players, enable, at A, otherwise known as everyone, kill. Now, because it didn't pop up here as a autocomplete because everyone in the server already has it activated. But rest assured that it will work. There. Now if I set this to repeat, flick the lever, and use the /trigger kill, it will set to 1, and I can still use the kill trigger. If I have this off and use the kill trigger, it will be set to 2 again next, but now I cannot use it unless I am allowed to again. Now, before we continue, if you have a score other than 0 after placing down this command block, make sure to use the command scoreboard players reset at yourself or your username or whoever has it, or at A for everyone, then the name. This will reset it like you had just created it and no one is enabled. Reset is basically the opposite of enabled. Basically just sets it back to 0 and makes it so that basically it sets it to nothing, to null, to nada, to void, basically. So that's what this last command block is. It's executing at everyone with the score that is not 0. So unless the score is 0, it runs the command scoreboard players reset, so it's resetting the score. The player that has that score that is not 0, and then the name of the trigger. So that will be the last command we do. The ones in between are kind of like the last one. Basically, what you do is you run this following command: execute as at A, meaning execute as if everyone in the server is typing / and then the command that you put following the execute, in over and over and over again, since it's done on repeat. So basically, execute as at A is the same as everyone on the server typing what you put after this once, or if it's on a repeating command block, every 20 times a second, which is how much a repeating command block runs. At S, meaning at their position. So as if everyone is running the command at the position that everyone is at. If you left this out, then did a fill command at their position, it would run at the command block's position as if everyone in the server is typing it. So this is very important. I think if as at A might work the same as saying at A plus it running as if they're typing it. I do not know. The next thing you do is an unless statement, meaning that what you type afterward, if that is not true, then it will run. So unless score at S, the player that's running it, which in this case is everyone. If you do at A, then it will test for if everyone has the score. So if everyone does not have the score, then it will not work. Then it will work. But if you do at S, then it will work. If I do kill matches 0. So unless it matches 0, which means if it doesn't match, which means if the player has a score, so if their score is enabled, if the trigger is enabled for them, for that specific player, and if their score is 0, which is automatic after resetting, then run the following command as if they are running it. Kill at S. But to make sure everything works, smart thing to do is to simply just do a simple say command, just to make sure it's working and resetting properly before you make it kill, because otherwise you could get stuck in an infinite loop, and nobody wants that. Next, you just set the command block to chain and always active, like so that it is run after this command block. If it's set to repeat, then it will run infinitely. So as you can see there, the reason why it was making me say kill is because I don't have a kill score at all. It's not 0, but it's also not any other number. Instead, it's nothing, which meaning that will always run unless it is the score of 1. So if I set this to my sidebar again, which is already showing actually, I don't have any score at all. So if I run this, I now have score 0 because it's been enabled, and this command is not running. If I do trigger kill, now it is running infinitely, which I do not want. So the next command is basically exactly the same as the first. I'm just going to control middle click to copy that command. As you can see, plus NBT right under the name. Now if I right click the command that I just placed down, it has the command that I had placed in. So basically you want to keep everything in here except for the say kill. You want to replace that with scoreboard players. Reset as the player without the score, with the score not being 1. Kill. Now after doing that, if you flick the lever, it said kill once, and then set that back to 0. Let me clear my chat so that we can test this properly. /trigger, kill. If I run it, it will set back to 1, disappear, and then reappear with my score being 0. And in between doing that, it said kill. It made me say kill once. If I run it again, it made me say kill once, and set it back. So now that we know it works and is resetting properly, we can safely change this to kill at S. Now, now I'm just going to do a quick command. I have do immediate respawn in this world, meaning that whenever I die, I immediately respawn without the you died UI opening up. That is set to true right now. I'm setting it to false so that we can better see that I have died. If I now enable this with the kill at S inside there, I'm not dying infinitely. Good sign. Now if I use /trigger, kill, enter, I die, respawn, it doesn't kill me infinitely. Good. That was probably the scariest command block I have ever put onto this server. But anyway, that is going to wrap up this video. There's a lot of things you can use this for. Obviously, there are a few minuses, a bunch of pluses for using this. I'm just going to set the sidebar back to nothing. And if you want to know more about the scoreboard command, which was used in order to make triggers, it's needed actually to create triggers. Then if you are wondering how to do that, how to use that command, then you can check out the video on that. Yeah, so that will wrap it up for this video, which I already said once before, but it doesn't matter because it's for real this time. See y'all later. Hope you had a great time watching this video. Hope you learned something. Have an amazing rest of your day. Goodbye.